सहनाववतु सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यं करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै। Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. We are reading from the book Pramana Vicara, an inquiry into the nature of knowledge by Swami Dayananda Saraswati. Starting a new section, Attitude towards Shastra Pramanam. Basically, a person being cognitive is a pramata, a knower. When you open your eyes without your making any choice, sight takes place. If there is a sound and the person is not deaf, hearing takes place. We have already seen that the person, the pramata, has to do nothing. Nose detects smell without your nosing around, without your using your will. As the conscious being that you are cognitive. Cognition takes place without your will. Will and choice come later. You open your eyes and you see. Once you see, what you do with that sight is a matter of choice. How you are going to respond in that, you have a choice. Sometimes that too becomes choiceless. This is where one can be either spontaneous or impulsive. Though they are two extremes, they appear the same in the sense that between the perception and response, there is no time gap. Sometimes the impact of whatever you have seen is so powerful that you respond spontaneously or impulsively, and still there is choice, used, disused, or abused. This reveals something about the nature of pramanam. If the conditions for the operation of a pramanam are fulfilled, it will unfailingly report what is, without any interference from the pramata. What are the conditions for a pramanam to operate? Eyes can see only in terms of light. If the object to be seen is not lighted at all, then eyes cannot see. They cannot see an object in a dark room. You cannot conclude that eyes have become blind. If the eyes do not see, you cannot conclude that the pramanam is not available. Pramanam of sight is available, but sight does not take place because there is no light. Therefore, light also becomes a part of this pramanam. The prameya, the object that is to be sighted, is present. The table is there in a dark room. On the table is your pen. You want to pick up your pen. You do not even see where the table is, much less the pen. The pen is not self-luminous. Table is not self-luminous. Light stimulus from the object, either itself being luminous or reflecting the light from another luminous object, is necessary for the eyes to operate. The other requirement is that the object should be within the range of vision. The same is true with reference to the ears, nose, tongue, etc. The object to be tasted has to be on the taste buds. The tongue has sweet taste buds, bitter taste buds, etc. If what you are offering to the tongue is bitter, if you want it to be sweet, it is not possible. The pramanam will report as it is, irrespective of your wish. You cannot blame the praman. When you eat something bitter, there will only be a bitter experience. You understand from all this that a pramanam is truthful. It has got to be truthful to be called a pramanam. It is as true as the object is. Prama, knowledge, as we have seen, is vastu tantram. Pramanam will operate without the pramata's ego interfering with the pramanam. You let the pramanam report. You do not interfere with its operation with your prejudice. Suspend all your prejudice and the pramanam will work. The reality is, we all interfere. We come with predetermined notions, sometimes very strongly entrenched notions that may not have any basis. Or we have wishful thinking. We have this capacity to interfere because we find it difficult to accept certain things as they are. We want them to be as we wish them to be. This is why when somebody says, so and so person is no more, there is disbelief. What? So and so is no more? When somebody tells you a Laukika Vakya, you react to that if that is not what you wish for. This is wishful thinking, not pramanam. Intuition is also not a pramanam. Somebody once told me, Swamiji, I had the intuition that you called me, so I have come all the way from North India. Then I had to tell the truth. What you thought that I thought is not what I thought. You wanted Swami to call you, you have come here and you are welcome, but I did not call. Intuition may be helpful in making a choice, but it is not a pramanam because later you have to verify your intuition. What needs to be verified cannot be called a pramanam. Memory also is not a pramanam. Memory is a recollection of what you have seen before, what you have gone through before. It does not produce any new knowledge. Memory can be useful in gaining knowledge. For example, you knew a person many years ago and you meet him again. What you now see is by pratyaksha pramana. Memory is only helpful in recognition of the person. It is called pratyabhijna. Pratyabhijna. Jnanam here is pratyabhijna, means knowledge in keeping with what you already knew, connecting your present jnanam to what you remember from the past. Surrender to pramanam, allowing the pramanam to operate. Pramanam does not permit options. Knowledge is true to the object. That's what we mean by vastu tantram. Your wish has no role to play. You accept what the pramanam reveals. Pramanam brooks no choice. When you see something, your entire being, the person, the pramata, and the atma of the pramata, the pramatri swarupa, the whole knower, is behind the eye, the pramanam. The mind does not interfere. No emotions interfere with the operation of the pramanam. None of them back your will. This is called surrender. One has to surrender, have an attitude of total surrender to the pramanam, no interference, no wishful thinking, only pramanam and what it reveals. Sometimes people ask me, Swamiji, how to surrender? It is easy. Look at yourself operating a pramana. When there is a smell, your nose will pick it up without your having a say in the matter. The person who brings the smell may not be aware, but all others around him are. Even if the person denies it, it is the truth revealed by a pramanam. There is no choice. There is smell, and the pramanam, the nose in this case, will surely pick it up. You cannot will it not to. The Shastra tells you that you are not mortal, you are nitya. People arrive at a conclusion that I am a mortal, I am limited, I am dukhi. There is no basis for this because it is not pramana prapta, not revealed by any pramana. The conclusion is durvichara prapta, arrived at by inadequate thinking or improper thinking. Or it is avichara prapta, without any inquiry or pramanam. You are looking at the body which is mortal. You look around and understand that the body is mortal and limited. This fact cannot be contradicted. But somehow, without any basis, you, the pramata, conclude that you are mortal and limited. There was a man in a place called Tirukallu Kundram, who had read that Shastra says you are nitya. Therefore, he concluded the body is nitya and wanted his body to be immortalized. This is a wrong conclusion. That your nitya is pointed out in order to correct a mistaken notion on the basis of the body that one is subject to time, that one is mortal. This person had already concluded that he was the body and wanted to make the body eternal because Shastra says one is eternal. Now he has become part of history. When you operate a pramanam, the pramatha, your conclusions, prejudices, wishful thinking, everything about you are all suspended. Your will is suspended. You can say that all of them are surrendered at the altar of the pramanam. This is not an ordinary thing. The shabda of the Shruti Pramanam, the words of the Upanishad have to reach you, and you must understand the meaning of the words. The understanding is of the Atma, the Pramatri Swarupa, the nature of the Pramatha. It is not as if the Pramata, the knower, is sitting here and then looking at what the meaning of the word is. He or she is the meaning of those words. Shastra Pramanam says you are Brahman, and it gives the Lakshanam of Brahman as Satyam, Jnanam, Anantam. Lakshana is sometimes loosely translated as definition. This is, however, not a good translation. We will continue to use the word Lakshana. These words point to you, the Pramata. There is no other Satyam, no other Jnanam. It is Ananta. There is only one Satyam, and that is you, and that is Jnana Swarupam. Shastra has to reveal who you are. It is a pramanam in the form of words. It is not chemistry or microbiology talking about microbes. Shastra is talking about you and says Tat Tvamasi. If you're looking at the book, say an Upanishad book, who is it who is looking at the book? The Pramata with all the ignorance-born notions connected to the Pramata is looking. Now the book tells you that you are Satyam, you are Nitya, you are Ananta. You are Ananda. What will you think? How can I become Ananda? You are already Ananda. That I know, but how do I become Ananda? This quote-unquote I know is the problem. The person does not understand what is being said. Ananda is Atma, Satyam is Atma, Jnanam is Atma, Anantam is Atma. Unless you know what is Satyam, what is Jnanam, what is Anantam, you will not understand Atma. If Jnanam means the knowledge of a pot or a table or a chair and other objects, what is this Jnanam? You cannot extend it and say this is knowledge of the Atma, as if the Atma is another entity. Because the word Atma refers to you, the knower, even the word Atma happens to be in the third person. The knowledge is about you, your Swarupa. The self being self-evident, the existence of an unknown self need not be established. But wrong notions about the self have to be negated. Thus, you understand the Atma, the self, to be the very meaning of the teaching. And to be the meaning of the teaching, there should be no interference of any ignorance-born notion. Further, you have to understand each and every word. You sometimes hear words like Atma is eternal. What does eternal mean? Immortal. What does immortal mean? Supreme. What does that mean? Omnipotent, omniscient, omnipresent. Then what? Infinite. Then what? Bliss with a capital B. Supreme consciousness. The student will say, I understand all this, but how to experience it? Oh, it is beyond experience. What does that mean? The person will explain it away by saying, once you know, you will understand. These are all meaningless words unless properly explained. Do you know what it sounds to me when I hear those kinds of words? I hear Atma is Obarajumba, basically jumbled meaningless words. Do not ask me to repeat it. We are dealing with Aparoksha Atma. There is no indirect knowledge that I am a mortal, that I am limited. Whichever way I look at myself is intimate knowledge. This knowledge is being constantly reinforced by everyone around me. The reality is that in the above statement, the quote, I am, unquote, is Atma. The words predicated to quote, I am, unquote, such as I am immortal, limited, wanting, inadequate, imperfect, are all conclusions, erroneous conclusions. Next section, importance of Guru. There is only one way to correct the wrong conclusions, and that is to allow the Shastra Pramanam to operate. The words of the Shastra have to be unfolded by someone who is capable of doing so. Shastra says, Guru meva abhigachet shrotriyam brahma nishtham. This is from the Mundoka Upanishad, mantra 1 to 12. Again, Shastra says, Guru meva abhigachet shrotriyam brahma nishtham. Approach someone who can handle the words of the Shastra to make them work for you and allow you to see that you are the meaning of all these words. You are not merely looking at the meaning of a word. That is not the teaching here. You are the meaning of the word Satyam, Jnanam, Anantam, Ananda. All of the words are there only to help you see that you are the meaning all the way. Shastra unfolded by a guru is a pramanam. Like eyes are a pramanam. Let the eyes report. Keep them clean. Do not wear colored glasses and then say, everything is blue here in this ashram. If you wear colored glasses, pramanam will not work properly. To make the pramanam work properly, you let go of your control. I repeat, you let go of your control. People are afraid to let go of control because it gives them a sense of security. They are always afraid that they would become vulnerable. That is why you want to control your knowing also. You inhibit the pramanam, you have to let go to allow the pramanam to work. That is called surrender. Surrender to the Guru. When you surrender to the Guru, you are not surrendering to a person, but to an institution, a proven lineage, sampradaya, a tradition of teaching. The teacher must be a sampradaya with one who has learnt it from his Guru and one who knows the tradition of how to handle the words of the Shastra so that they work as a pramanam. This puts great responsibility on the teacher. He has to ensure that the words that come out are the words of the Upanishad. They may be in a different language, but they have to be the vision of the Shastra and they have to reach the human mind. They have to resolve themselves, removing the confusion and make the person see that he is the meaning of these words. They have to correct the various incorrect notions. Every wrong conclusion is defined by a word. That I am baddha, bound, is one common conclusion. That notion is negated by the opposite word, mukta, free. If I say I am baddha and the Upanishad says I am already free, there must be a fallacy in my reasoning that led to the conclusion that I am bound. This error in one's thinking has to be pointed out, paving the way for the words of the Shastra to work. This is handling the words of the Shastra, and that requires a teacher. So the teacher, as an institution, also becomes a pramanam. That is why Gurur Brahma, Gurur Vishnu, Gurur Devo Maheshwaraha, etc. Om Purnamadav Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamevavashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Harihi Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om.